I used to seriously brag about my color-coded calendar, where every single minute from dawn to dusk was meticulously planned and accounted for. On the surface, I was the picture of productivity, but honestly, behind the scenes, I was a wreck. I was secretly falling asleep on my laptop during the day, snatching desperate 45-minute naps between back-to-back Zooms. The math was just brutal. I had 168 hours in a week, and every slot was filled, yet nothing meaningful ever seemed to move forward. I was just drained, running on fumes and pure caffeine. Then I did something that felt radical at the time. I completely ditched the rigid schedule and started fiercely guarding the one resource that actually depletes and replenishes my energy. The change was staggering. Within just 6 short weeks, the same massive workload was getting done by 3 p.m., and I was waking up refreshed without an alarm clock for the first time in years. Stick around. I'm going to hand you the exact 3-part energy system I used, plus a quick 30-second self-test that proves whether you need it as desperately as I did. Let's be brutally honest for a second. Most productivity advice treats you like some kind of machine. It operates on a simple, flawed premise. Just insert time and you should be able to output results. But we're not robots, are we? We are complex biological beings. Humans run on 4 crucial internal batteries: our physical, mental, emotional, and even our spiritual energy. When any one of those batteries starts flashing red and dips into the danger zone, your whole day just stalls out. Your focus shatters, your motivation evaporates, and your patience wears thin. So today, we're completely flipping that outdated model on its head. The new rule is to manage those 4 core batteries first, then let the clock and your calendar naturally take care of themselves. Section 1. The hidden cost of busy. Have you ever noticed how an hour spent with that one incredibly toxic coworker or draining client feels like you have just run a 3-hour marathon? That, my friend, is your emotional energy actively leaking out of you like air from a punctured tire. It's not just a vague feeling either, it's a measurable phenomenon. Scientists at Florida State University found that our willpower, which is a finite resource, drops by an average of 15% every single hour. You force yourself to operate in a depleted state regardless of how much time you theoretically have left in your day. The translation is simple. An open calendar slot with a dead internal battery still equals 0 real, meaningful work. When I started tracking my actual output against my perceived fatigue, the correlation was, frankly, humiliating. On my low-energy days, I was producing a mere 42 minutes of actual deep, focused work in an entire 8-hour window. Time was never the bottleneck. My utterly drained energy battery was. Section 2, Principle 1, Move before you load. Physical energy is the foundation. It's the gateway drug to unlocking every other type of energy, plain and simple. If you feel physically sluggish, your brain will be too. So I borrowed this brilliant and almost deceptively simple trick called when I, then I. It works like this. When I feel that familiar brain fog rolling in, or I catch myself in a deep yawn, then I immediately get up and do 20 push-ups or just climb 2 flights of stairs. There are no gym clothes required, no need to schedule a shower, no drama whatsoever. That quick, sharp spike in your heart rate shoves a fresh supply of oxygen upstairs to your brain, buying me, on average, roughly 90 extra minutes of highly focused thinking. This isn't just a placebo effect. A 2022 Stanford meta-analysis on microbouts of exercise validated this exact outcome. Seriously, just try it once the next time you feel a slump. You'll feel like you've discovered a cheat code for the afternoon crash. Just a quick favor, if this is already starting to click for you and you're recognizing yourself in this story, please take a second to smash that like button. It's a small action, but it genuinely helps the algorithm find the next tired burnt-out overachiever who desperately needs to hear this message today. It tells the robots that this content is actually helpful. Go on, I'll wait for a moment. Section 4, Principle 2, Batch. The tiny, then eat the frog. Next up is Principle 2, a game changer for your mental clarity. Batch the tiny, then eat the frog. Decision fatigue is a silent, insidious energy vampire, and it drains you with an endless barrage of small, seemingly insignificant choices all day long. So, to combat this, I now schedule a non-negotiable 15-minute admin dungeon at 8 a.m. every morning. This is for all the tiny stuff, clearing overnight emails, responding to Slack messages, approving expense reports. Anything that can be done in under 2 minutes goes into this bucket. By 8:15 a.m., all that mental clutter is gone, and I can dive straight into my highest impact task, my frog, while my brain's neurotransmitters are still crisp and at their peak. The result is incredible. I consistently finish my most important work for the day well before that dreaded cortisol dip that typically hits around 10:30 a.m. The productivity expert Cal Newport calls this deep work hygiene. I just call it pure survival. Section 5, Principle 3, Guard the 3% that triggers 90% of drama. Finally, we arrive at Principle 3, which is all about your emotional reserves. You must fiercely guard the 3% of your interactions that trigger 90% of your drama. Our emotional energy usually dies from 1,000 paper cuts, not from one single big crisis. The constant low-grade irritations are what do us in. So I took this literally. I listed out every single recurring interaction from the last month and tagged it with a simple label, uplifts me or sucks my will to live. The findings were stark and undeniable. The bottom 3% of my interactions, which for me were 2 toxic group chats, one particularly draining client, and my neighbor's nightly complaints about everything under the sun, were eating a whopping 27% of my total emotional bandwidth. So I took action. I muted the chats permanently, politely fired the client, and set a firm phone curfew to avoid the neighbor's texts. The effect was almost immediate. My afternoon crash completely disappeared, and I gained an extra creative hour that I honestly didn't even know existed within me. Section 6, the 30-second energy audit. Okay, now for the practical step you can take today, the 30-second energy audit. Right now, I want you to rate each of your 4 internal batteries, physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual, on a scale from 1, completely dead, to 5, fully charged and buzzing with energy. Be brutally honest with yourself. No one else needs to see this. Do you have any scores at a 2 or below? That specific battery gets the next available 30-minute block on tomorrow AS calendar for a dedicated recharge activity. This needs to be something that you know works for you. For a physical recharge, it could be a walk. For mental, maybe it's journaling. For emotional, listening to a specific playlist. For spiritual, perhaps it's 5 minutes of quiet meditation. It has to be an activity that historically scores a 4 or 5 for you. Do this quick audit daily, and I promise your weekly output will jump significantly without adding a single extra hour to your workday. So if you remember one thing from this, let it be this. Time is a fixed, finite resource, but your energy, that's flexible, manageable, and it is your most valuable professional asset. When you learn to guard your energy fiercely, the hours in your day will pretty much take care of themselves. I challenge you to start tomorrow or even today. Move your body when you yawn, ruthlessly batch all the tiny, distracting stuff into one session, and exile those 3% emotional vampires from your life without apology. If you just do those 3 things, you won't just stop managing minutes on a calendar. You'll start mastering your personal momentum. If you want the printable energy tracker I personally use to do my daily audits, the link is down in the description. Otherwise, seriously, go recharge something. your future, more energized self is already thanking you for it.